everyone. My name is John Bray with Bray Homes Realty here in San Diego County. I am a real estate agent specializing in the 55 plus or active adult and lifestyle community housing segment here in San Diego. A little bit about myself, just some background. I've been in real estate since 2004 here in California. I have been a licensed salesperson starting my career, and then I became a broker in 2016 with my own brokerage, Bray Homes Realty. I began my real estate career working for the nation's largest builder of active adult lifestyle communities. That's Pulte Del Webb. Many of you, if you don't know that name, you may know the name Sun City, where I spent many years in numerous Sun cities working with the active adult demographic. After that, I spent 7 years working for a company called 55places.com, which many of you may have contacted me through that company. My wife and I, that's my wife there, Jennifer, in the bottom right-hand corner. We have lived in California, well, she her whole life, myself since 2004, and we have lived in North County, San Diego since 2014, and we love it. So a little bit about the data that I'm looking at every single month. I'm looking at 23 communities across the county. Majority of those communities tend to be in North County. And if there are actually more than 23 communities that are 55 plus, but I'm really only looking at those communities that are land-owned communities. So for your manufactured home communities, many of those communities you own the home and not the land, or there are co-op ownerships. So I'm only looking at those manufactured home communities where you own the home and the land that it sits on as well. In addition, kind of more of your traditional communities that are 55 plus that have your attached and detached housing. There are 15 of those communities. So in total, we are looking at 23 communities, and also excluding any other communities that might be assisted or independent living. An example of that is Chateau Lake San Marcos here in North County. Last time that I'm going to share this slide, I shared this in the January update, but last year there were over 400 sales that took place between these 23 communities, and majority of which, just by a little bit, about 53% of those sales took place in the attached detached homes versus 48% or so within the manufactured home communities. In February, how did that compare? Well, in February 2023, there were 46 homes sold total between all of those communities. That's averaging 2 homes sold per community. Of course, in some communities, which I'll share with you in a moment, there were more sales in that, and in others there was less. But a vast majority of the sales so far this year has been in the attached, detached home communities. There's been more inventory and there's been more demand there so far. Thus, there have been more sales. Same thing last month. We saw a lot more sales, almost same type of percentages in the attached, detached homes. As a comparison, though, just to give you a sense of like, what do those numbers mean? What is 46 sales? Well, if we look on the right-hand side in February, that's comparing February of 2022 with February 2023, where we are down from 62 sales last year. However, and the good news is that we are up in sales from January of 2023. So from last month, where we only had 29 sales. So it was a light month in January, and then certainly it has picked up in February, but not to the levels that we saw in 2022. So with all that said, I had predicted and I knew that we were going to see more sales in February, and I knew that because our pending sales number at the end of January this year, I believe, was 44 or 45 sales. So we knew the majority of those pending sales at the end of January were likely to close in the month of February, and that's the case. I also could tell you now, here we are the first week of March, when we are doing this again together in the first week in April, looking at March data, that the March sales numbers will also increase because the number of pending sales is over 60. I think we're at 67 pending sales right now in these communities, majority of which will likely close in the month of March. So sales will continue to increase from where we currently are now in February. And where do the sales take place? Well, if we look at them, not surprising, they are happening in the larger communities. We've got Oaks North with 8 sales there on the bottom. That is a large active adult, for the most part, non-gated community in Rancho Bernardo in San Diego. And then north of that, we've got in Oceanside, Ocean Hills Country Club. It's the largest coastal community we have, over 1,600 homes, where we had 7 sales. And then over on the left-hand side, you'll see Oceana with 9 sales. A little bit of an asterisk with that, Oceana. I am grouping together numerous Oceana communities that partially share the same name. There's also Oceana Mission and Oceana East, and I am grouping them all together as one because of the proximity and also the size and price point of the homes as well. So that's the breakout for February. A little bit deeper dive into that data. There were 42 homes that were sold in the attached and detached communities, as I mentioned, and the median price of those homes was just over $650,000. I know if you watched the January update, you would say, gosh, that number was $725,000. So has pricing really dropped $75,000? No, it has not. Not in terms of the median price. Really, when we're looking at on a price per house, what happened was in January of those 27 sales, we saw 6 of them were over the price of 1 million. And in February, we only had 4 sales that were over $1 million. So we had less higher price sales in February, and we had more of the lower price sales, bringing our median price down of those homes. And so likely more of the attached homes sold than what we saw of the detached homes in terms of a number. And that was the case, which I'll share here in a moment. So not a great comparison for median price. I will dive into pricing because I know everybody always wants to know, well, what is pricing doing? So we will dive into that here momentarily. But a direct comparison between last month and this month in February is the days on market until sold. Homes sold quicker in February, 10 days quicker. So in January, they were 32 days. And in February, only 22 days that homes were selling on average. For the manufactured homes, again, there were only 4 sales, so not many, but the median price was at $630. It was at $620 for the 2 sales in January. So virtually flat, but still small sample set. And the days on market until sold is just about the same as it was last month, which is a little over 1 month's time. So at the end of February, there were a total of 73 homes on the market. That's broken out by the 55 attached and detached, and then 18 manufactured homes. And just based upon the 46 sales that we had that took place throughout the month of February, the current month of supply is only at 1.6 months, which is down from 3.3 in January. So because our sales increased and our supply did not go up that much, our month of supply went down. What month of supply is? It means if there are no additional homes listed today on the market, those 73, based upon the current sales, it would take 1.5 months to sell through all of the inventory. So that is not a lot of inventory, and that is pretty fast days on market until sold. If we were looking at the detached housing segment in particular, we'll see there were 12 sales in February as there were in January, which is down slightly this February in comparison to last year. And then now I want to look at the pricing. So the median pricing, I think when you're looking at this data set, this is looking at just this rolling 12-month pricing. So when we are looking at February 2023, we're actually looking at all the sales of the detached homes from March 1st, 2022 through the end of February 2023. So if we look at the beginning of this, where we're looking at February 2022 data, that's actually going from March 1st, 2021 through February of 2022. So this can sometimes be confusing because what this does not mean is that a home now in February 2023 is, let's just say, roughly 11% higher than it was this same time last year, because that is likely not the case. What we did see, prices continued to increase through the beginning part of last year. Then they started to go down, which I'll show more information here in just a moment. But the median price for the rolling 12-month is at $892 for the detached homes. The average is actually higher than that, well over 930,000. But I would anticipate when we see this 12-month graph, this rolling 12-month, that we would see in the coming months, probably not right away, but more towards the later part of this year, that rolling 12-month number will likely go down just based upon the activity that we have seen for pricing really over the last 6 to 8 months. And here's why. Here's a little bit more indicative, I guess, of pricing. Again, we were just focusing on 55 plus communities, but here for this data comes from North County Association of Realtors, and I'm specifically looking at North County just because that's where a majority of these active adult communities are located. If we are looking first on the right, where I have circled the rolling 12-month number from January of 2022 through January 2023, we're seeing almost a 10% increase, which basically that mirrors and matches the increase that we are seeing on the rolling 12-month basis for these active adult communities. However, if you look on the left side at the single month of January 2022 to January 2023, the median price is down 2.5%. A lot less sales, a lot less data. So that's only looking at a little over 400 closed sales versus over 8,000 on the rolling 12-month basis. But that is a little bit more of a snapshot indicative of where the price was that month last year and where it was in January 2023. Now, I'm not showing you February numbers right now because it is just the 3rd of March today, and typically it takes into the 3rd month of the following month for this data to get updated. I just happen to be faster. So I'm going to share with you a little bit more in terms of pricing, but I want to just, so you understand that graph, not thinking that homes are necessarily going to be more expensive now than what they were the same time last year, or even from the summer when you look at that 12-month chart. One of the websites that I really do like is the Redfin Data Center. If you just go into Google or in the description below, I'll actually put a link to this. But the Redfin Data Center gives you data across the entire country, and you can likely even do the area where you currently reside and live, whether or not it's your county data or your metro. And it has all kinds of different tabs that you see at the top, where if you want to look at new listings, pending activity, number of homes sold, median sales price. Some of it can be overwhelming, or maybe you need somebody that looks at this data all the time to kind of help explain and break some of this down. If you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. But as we're looking at San Diego County data here, and again, not just North County, but the entire county, you can see here the black line is all of 2022 on the left-hand side. That is January. On the right-hand side, that is December. And what happened was in January, and then in those early spring months, prices really started to skyrocket, and where they really capped in terms of median price was in June. So June 19th, that week ending, and that's looking at 3 months or 12 weeks of preceding data, that we really capped out at about 876,000 for median pricing. And that's both attached and detached throughout the entire county, where we increased for pricing. Well, then what happened was Fed increased interest rates, demand then softened, supply was still low, and we started seeing price adjustments downward, right? So, and we saw that really heavily throughout late summer months, fall months, and then really by Christmas time through now, through February, prices have been pretty flat. And that's what we've seen. Inventory is still very low overall, and prices have remained flat. And that you can see that flatness, you can see in the blue line, that is the first part of 2023 from January to right now, February 19th is what it's updated through. If I'm looking at this on a 12-week basis, it shows a negative 1% from this time last year. If you actually look at it in a shorter period over 4 weeks, you'll actually see a 1% increase, which could mean prices are going up just a little bit in the short term. So this is what I would anticipate. We'll see what happens, but I would anticipate, continued pricing to stay like this, where we're going to be relatively flat just based upon inventory. I don't necessarily see things necessarily going skyrocket up, nor do I see them necessarily going down, but I don't have that crystal ball. But what it does mean that a home is on average priced very comparable to what that same home was priced last January, last February, and now into March. So for those sellers that think, they could get this for their home last summer, if they are still trying to get that price, in most cases, case by case as real estate is, and most likely they would be wrong, because the prices we have seen drop from the peak at last summer. So just a quick summary: closed activity in the 55 plus communities increased from January to February. And again, it will increase into March, barring some kind of miraculous or wild scenario that's out there. I don't think even this rain and nearby snow is going to slow any of that down. And we know that just because not just the sales typically pick up in the spring, but we know that because of the pending sales number, where that pending sales number was over 65. As we had that number of pending sales going into the month of March. So most of those sales will close, meaning that we will increase from February. Second point, 1.6 months of supply and days on market down to 22. We are in a seller's market, as homes are selling quickly and there is not a lot of inventory, and there are a decent number of buyers that are out there looking in these communities. Now, with that said, sellers, if they are trying to get the price that they could have received last summer and last fall, those homes are sitting, and we do see that. We do see homes sitting and not selling, where we do see other homes selling very quickly and getting multiple offers and even going over asking price. So sellers, you have to be realistic. You have to know exactly where the market's at. If you do, your home will sell, and it will sell. The numbers show you it will sell very quickly. So highest price sales, as I mentioned, we had 6 sales over $1 million. We had this gorgeous home that was just over 1.1, this 3-bedroom, 2-bath home in the community in Oaks North. And then the lowest price home we had was over $360,000 in Oceana, that 2-bedroom, 1-bath condo. Really, our price range, I would say the median that price range is that $650,000 to $850,000, but you can go certainly as low as about $350,000. And last year we had a home that sold closed in Auberge in Del Sur and that home sold for over 2 million. So quite a span here within the active adult segment housing. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to myself. Again, I'm John Bray. I love looking at data. I love spending time in these active adult communities. In fact, just twice today, I'm going to be in Ocean Hills Country Club working with 2 sets of clients. So I'm in the communities all the time. I'm really passionate about it. I love these neighborhoods, and I love working with the folks that are interested in these communities. I would highly encourage and recommend that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It is Find Your Beach House SD. Not just subscribe, but if you hit the bell, that will give you monthly notifications every time that I post that video. So you will get this fresh in your inbox every time the new video comes out. I look forward to connecting with you in April to review March data. In the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Thank you.